from the Gholdengo player. And it's going to come down to those opening hands. Seeing the basic energy, seeing the earthen vessels before the item locks shut down. Will the lunar cycles commence before we see that?
And the big thing to always look for is that Vitality Band. It is in the deck for Simon, and it is that perfect math. The 80 damage is just enough to knock out Frillish. So a big dynamic, you know, how early does Rowan decide to establish the item lock? And more importantly, what does his active Pokemon look like at the end of that turn 1? Because giving up free prize cards in this matchup can really swing that tempo super fast.
Yeah, great point there. And this is a deck that, of course, plays some extra fighting Pokemon. We know about that Mega Lucario, but you will not see some additional premium pros included, anything like that. It's just going to be the inclusion of that Vitality Band for some extra damage. However, we do see some other nice inclusions, like that Iron Bundle. We know that can be pretty pivotal in a matchup like this, moving that jelly around.
Yeah, and that's really, you know, where Rowan's going to have to decide. Iron Bundle is not a very common inclusion in Gholdengo. I'd say maybe 1 in 4, and that's being generous. Players are running a card like that. Jellicent can be really good to attack with, but if you know your opponent has Iron Bundle, it kind of makes you wonder, do you kind of just abstain from, you know, ever putting Jellicent EX into play and just go for that Frillish? Iron Bundle is hiding out the prizes, albeit at the bottom, so there's no cards like Hisuian Heavy Ball anymore to shuffle those prizes, so Simon may be happy to see that card. The Riolu, honestly, at the top is probably the best spot you want a card like that. We usually never talk about that, but having cards you never use at the top of your prizes, there's no better feeling.
Yeah, we do not need to see that Pokemon anytime soon for Rowan's side. Has plenty of copies of Munkidori and Dark Energy. Will feel pretty comfortable when he sees that those are his prize cards to work with. Just the 1 copy of Curlia there, and there are 2 in the list, so keep an eye out for that as well.
So here we go, getting ready into this match. Round 5, both players at 4-0 as we kick things off. A Canadian battle, a Canadian showdown between our 2 competitors. Genesect EX, the starter here for Simon's going to actually just start off right away with the Genesect, using that metallic signal, searching out the evolution Pokemon. And it's just going to get a little tally of what's in the deck. We'll note that Professor Turo's scenarios in the prize cards. That can always be a key piece, especially if Rowan decides to lean into what can be one of the most powerful lines for this matchup, the Technical Machine Devolution, in combination with a bunch of damage counters on these Gholdengos.
Yeah, when 260 is too many hit points to work with, then just target down the Gimme Ghoul. 70, a lot easier to KO in instances like this, and you can build up that damage pretty easily. For Simon, this isn't exactly the start you're looking for. You do have a way to thin out these Pokemon, maybe see a little more resources, but I'm seeing superior energy retrieval.
Yeah, I think there's maybe an Artisan in the hand here for Simon, and there's got to be at least that Artisan to just get a Gimme Ghoul into play. If there is an Artisan, okay, so saving grace here, but now in this spot here, if you're Simon, do you actually just grab the Soul Rock? I mean, if you don't have an Air Balloon in hand, you're only going to draw 1 card next turn with this Gholdengo. You know, if you grab the Soul Rock out this turn, you could at least guarantee the Lunatone the following, and then maybe look to attack with Gholdengo next turn. But this Gimme Ghoul coming into play, assuming there's no Air Balloon to get that extra draw off coin bonus, will essentially be at the mercy of these next 2 top deck cards.
It is pretty difficult to find the rest of the pieces for the Lunatone Soul Rock if you are under item lock at any point. It's just Artisan not searching out exactly what you're looking for. You have the Gimme Ghoul, but you need to get those Pokemon rolling, and thankfully, with 1 Pokemon out, you can at least start drawing next turn.
And Simon had a Pokegear in hand, chose to not play the Pokegear, even though he knows he can potentially be under item lock next turn. Let's keep that thought in the back of our mind as we go through Rowan's turn. Now, Rowan has built this deck to essentially pounce on the opportunity to use Jellicent, or rather Frillish, turn 1. 3 copies of Arven. That's a lot more than we've usually seen this deck start to pilot towards. Usually just, you know, relying onto that Lily and the Professor's research to kind of draw into some cards. If Rowan can find this turn 1 item lock here, even though he knows Simon will have access to Gholdengo EX, he'll still need to find a decent number of pieces here to get a knockout. Air Balloon 100% needed. Then we'll have to find those energy cards out of the deck. A guaranteed Pokemon with Artisan is nice. And we see right away, doing this first deck search, and Frillish immediately coming into play, knows this will be the MVP in this matchup.
Yeah, not much of a question there. Answers that pretty quickly, and now has the rest of the hand to work with. To find this, it is just the 1 copy of Air Balloon to work with if you want to move this Pokemon. But we do see that sometimes you do switch the pace over. If you have a read that your setup is a little more important, you can go aggressive, but my goodness, is there anything more aggressive than this? You have the Secret Box to get the ball rolling. This is everything.
Gardevoird is the best deck in the format when it opens Secret Box turn 1. Like, you're about to see, ladies and gentlemen, how unstoppable this is going to be. It's just going to find, you know, discards 2 supporters from hand, but this is just because we're going to grab research and just get 4 energy in the bin this turn, it seems like, most likely. Immediately grabs the Artisan, the Lily, even just going to consider grabbing the Lily and the Bravery Charm, so does Rowan have Air Balloon already in hand, or is he potentially looking to use a different strategy this turn? You've got to assume that using this Frillish as an option compared to passing with Ralts is, you know, essentially incomparable in a spot like this.
Yeah, I mean, there's only a few cards left to work with here. Bravery Charm, not my favorite card to look for, but if you have all the resources, you may as well just start to build up on that secondary Pokemon. You can save all of the hit points on the Frillish and maybe withstand something like that Soul Rock if you think that's coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, if you can find the Air Balloon and the Bravery Charm here, that's exactly where Bravery Charm shines, right? You put yourself out of that Vitality Band Soul Rock range. It deals 70 damage plus the 10. Has both of them. Yeah, wow, look at this.
Oh,
Air balloon just already in the hand. We're getting rid of supporter cards here. This is 100% picture perfect here for Rowan on this first turn. You can't draw it up any better, you know, even if you were to play imaginary Pokemon and draw 8 cards here and get things set up.
Yeah, I mean, this is everything. He's found it all, and at this point, you still have 8 cards to look forward to, and you have all of those item cards that could get you even further into the deck at this point. Ultra Balls, Earthen Vessels, what have you. Anything that gets Psychic Energy at the discard pile from this point forward is a win.
And that really is just the big piece missing. We haven't seen any Earthen Vessel be played. There is one in the prize card, so it is important to note. And with an Arven going down as well, there's going to be a lot less ways to search that out. And as I say that, let's just go ahead and find Earthen Vessel, Ultra Ball, and all the Psychic Energy we want, Kyle. Why not?
Yeah, this is an embarrassment of riches at this point. And you can discard or already get those cards into there if you need to, but maybe there's a world where you just hold on to the Ultra Ball for next turn. It's not like your opponent has really shown you anything.
Yeah, maybe you could thin a couple energies out of the deck with Earthen Vessel, but again, there's really no reason to go about that. And yes, now Simon just not using that Pokegear on the previous turn means he's essentially relying off this 1 coin bonus to do anything this turn.
And this might be a nod to Simon doing some research and looking at some of the lists previously and thinking most players have been switching away from this style of Jellicent and not using the air balloon sometimes and going into the evolution style. And he just takes this risk, but it does not pay off here at all.
Looks like has the Arven in hand, so might have been the top deck for turn, may have found already had it in hand, so we'll just go ahead and use that as a supporter. It's going to find the air balloon. Any item that's found will not be able to be played this turn, is considering that precious trolley that would set up, assuming they could be played. So look, you're essentially threatening that whenever this item lock is broken, you can get those basics into play. But for now, it's really just going to be Artisan as the only assistance in terms of Simon getting his board set up.
And is there a more awkward spot to be in at this point than what we see for Simon? Because this Frillish is not going anywhere. It takes so many energy to get the job done, and the item lock is already in play. How do you get past this point if it is just coin bonus for 1 and slowly drawing through?
And purposely not using the Artisan here is actually making a little bit of a smart sequencing play. It's going to try and draw into a basic Pokemon here. Very heads up. We'll see if it pays off. And it's the wrong basic Pheasantipity. Not going to assist. And yeah, there's just that 1 fighting energy in hand. You can grab one of those 2 rocks out of the deck right now with Artisan, but Lunar Cycle and that Soul Rock's burst damage not going to be available at least until the next turn.
Oh yeah, this is just not where you want to be. The Artisan does help find a little more resources, but from here, is it just continuing to build the hand? You can find more Gimme Ghouls, evolve these Pokemon, and try to draw up until you have the answer for an inevitable Jellicent on the other side, but you're not really doing anything, and giving Rowan turns right here does not feel great.
Yeah, and since you can't get both down this turn, both the Soul Rock and the Lunatone, may as well just try and put another Gholdengo into play. I like this choice here for Simon. Gimme Ghoul comes down. We'll see the pass of the turn, and Rowan is just going to have a little bit more leeway. Did draw into a bunch of resources, but did, importantly, miss any supporter card here. So he's going to make some quick action sequencing. This is going to probably be a quick turn here for Rowan. Grabs Kirlia, uses the Artisan right away, holding on to that Earthen Vessel, and is just kind of, he seems content, playing a little bit of a patient game, and just using Oceanic Gloom to slow things down. Dark Energy, though, big find on that Monkey Dory.
Yeah, not having to worry about this in the slightest. Now, if there is a world where Simon does pivot over, find another air balloon, and start using Soul Rock as the attacker so that he doesn't have to discard energies throughout this process, damage will shift over very quickly to Simon's side of the board.
Just thinking through the sequencing again, going to first use that coin bonus. Does find a metal energy, but there is still only 1 fighting energy in the hand. So we'll just go ahead and evolve into this other Gholdengo EX. I don't know if there's any other supporter card. No, it's just going to have to use coin bonus for 1. Finds another fighting energy, and this is where the Bravery Charm is putting in work. It's keeping this Frillish out of a Make It Rain KO range this turn.
Yeah, and you don't feel comfortable attacking with this Pokemon if you're not taking a knockout, especially in a world where you still don't even have the knockout lined up for the following turn. You're going to have to keep drawing through to take this 1 prize off the board, and all those resources are just wasted as you stare down much more hit points on the following turn.
So Gimme Ghoul does come down into play, choosing yet again just to prioritize Gimme Ghouls instead of putting Soul Rock and Lunatone into play. It seems that Soul Rock's time has passed. A cycle around the sun, not coming until later. It will be the attachment to the active spot, and actually miscounted here. Simon hiding one of those energy cards away. It will be the KO, so 3 fighting in the hand. Frillish does go down, but you have to wonder, taking this prize card turn 4 into the game, essentially, as we're heading into turn 4, excuse me, this is a pretty big shift.
Yeah, and this is a beautiful spot here from Rowan. We saw previously last turn, had the air balloon on the Ralts, chose to evolve the Kirlia, and this is because you want to retreat with the Gardevoird. Get those energies onto the active Pokemon so that the damage is there, and then you can shift your play over. I feel like this has to be moving some damage over to a benched Gholdengo, and then using this Mind Bend from Monkey Dory. Put the confusion in play, really put your opponent on the back foot.
Yeah, Mind Bend could be solid. There is, of course, that still 1 air balloon available. Gardevoird X is in the hand, but does actually have the Night Stretcher as well, and I think we may just be seeing Frillish Simulator. And it seems like there is a very good chance, Kyle, that every single Night Stretcher that will be played this set is just going to continue to grab Frillish back because Rowan knows how strong never letting Simon get to play items is in this matchup. You just essentially say, hey, so you got that first turn, you played no Poffin, you played no Trolley, you're not going to get to play any of your retrievals, you're not going to play any of your search cards. I'm just going to keep hitting you for 80 damage every turn, and eventually, yeah, you're just not going to have what it takes to get there. That's just how it works.
No, it's beautiful. This is exactly where you want to be. You have the answer in the item lock. You can bring this back up. You still are at that awkward number 2 if you want to leave the damage on the Frillish and just push the 4 from the Gardevoird. You don't have to worry about the damage from the Make It Rain. It's still going to be 2 discards, and we know how hard that can be to find.
The big choice here, Rowan really does not want to bench this Mew. It can be a huge liability, but it's going to prioritize using that restart and finds Iono off of the 2 cards. Probably the best card in the deck. Got rid of 1 turn 1 and can just hold on to this. Most players in this spot would just play the Iono, see a fresh hand of 6 cards. But Rowan, I think, understands that better, that you could just give your opponent another turn of just building their hand up to be even larger, put them to 4 prize cards, and then that Iono is going to hit even harder on the following turn in terms of disruption. Actually going to decide to play it. Very interesting sequence using the Monkey Dory's Adrenabrains. Usually when you see a player use those abilities, it means they're going to end their turn. But Rowan's actually going to, go a little bit of a different route. I wouldn't have hated it either way, but seeing 6 cards this turn is pretty solid.
Yeah, and what are you looking for from this point? You only have the 1 copy of Bravery Charm. You just played the Frillish down, so it's not like Jellicent's moving in at this point. So just wanted to do the hand disruption for his opponent. And you see that Simon discarded a bunch of resources. Maybe there's a world where he had a few more energy, but now he definitely has to go hunting.
And lots of supporter cards still left. Only that 1 Arven has been played so far. Still got all 4 of those bosses' orders remaining. He's got the Arvens, and that's it. They've got the Professor Turo is there as well, sure, but in terms of, progressing the board state and trying to put aggression on, those are really the only resources. And Arven essentially just says search your deck for a tool. It's not really even doing anything in this spot.
Yeah, just thin out a little bit, and maybe you'll draw something better with coin bonus, and it's still not looking very promising. You do have the Genesect. You can draw through and see some more Pokemon here, but it's all about when you want to shuffle with this deck.
Yeah, sequencing and more importantly, how you stack your deck. Very important things for any deck in the Pokemon TCG, but especially when you're playing a deck that just draws so many cards and it can just go turns and turns and turns without shuffling or reorganizing the deck. So it'll be that Metallic Signal off Genesect does grab the remaining 2 Gholdengo EX out of the deck. And the big thing that I've been noticing so far for this board, Simon choosing to omit benching Solrock or Lunatone. Now, of course, the start was slow, but, I mean, at this point, Kyle, do you think that's an active choice?
It has to be. You see that there's just not enough energy to stay up in this game. If you ever switched over to the Lunatone Solrock, you're attacking for just 70 damage, you're not dealing knockouts, and there's already 2 Monkey Dory in play. If you push over any damage, it's just going to fly right back onto your side of the board. You open up this world for Counter Catcher, slowing you down too, as we already see an Air Balloon. Just doesn't line up anymore.
We've used our coin bonuses. I'm not sure there's enough energy right away.
Just 1, I think. Just 1 copy of Fighting Energy in this monstrous hand, but that's not enough.
Yeah, and Rowan smartly not flooding his board with energy means even something like a Boss's Orders play to try and stall out a Gardevoird not an option. Rowan very smartly protecting all potential options for Simon to get out of this item lock. If you give Simon a turn of items, this game's entire narrative flips.
Ooh.
Will finally be Solrock coming down. It does make me wonder, I think we may have seen the Vitality Band in hand for Simon. May not be able to get both Pokemon down this turn. Maybe next turn there can be a combination of Air Balloon plus, the Artisan again and the Solrock. Yeah. But another turn of a missed KO on Frillish, it really is a big miss.
Could be one of these 2 copies of Professor Turo's scenario if you want to play that card now, just another way to move Pokemon. But when you think about Pokemon that could get stuck, Solrock is definitely one of those that you don't want to waste the energy on for future turns. So it's a big shift if you switch over from Gholdengo to Solrock, but you could always go that route. This route makes a little more sense if you have one of the copies of Vitality or Air Balloon, you just grab the other.
Yeah, and I have to be honest here, Kyle. I never want to count Simon out in this spot, but if you're not taking a KO, I don't know how you're winning this game. Like, it just seems so difficult. Rowan's going to get to put another 80 damage on the board, probably just onto either this Gholdengo that has 40 on it, or onto a Gholdengo on the bench. And from there, the big piece that's missing from Simon is he's not running the Picnic Basket. He's got no way to heal any damage off of these Gholdengo EX, which is a huge piece to not have.
Yeah, that's a great point. This damage is going to stack up, and you walk right into the TM Devolution play. Does Simon have the answer? It's not there, just nothing as he passes over the turn. Essentially giving Rowan a great target in that Solrock to just lock active and push damage. But what's the most efficient way to do this at this point? You usually try to get those energies in play and then retreat them off, but we're not seeing that just yet.
Yeah, and this bench is full, right? So you can't bounce between 2 Frillish. A very common play we see. You can use the Psychic Embrace and fuel that hefty 3 retreat cost. Retreat usually being high is a bad thing, but in this deck, getting an extra 20 damage on your Pokemon, Monkey Dory loves to just go ahead and move that around to the opponent's side.
Yeah, it makes it tempting to just go Ultra Ball in this spot and go straight for the Jellicent, get that Pokemon in play, and lock in those massive hit points. You can deal some pretty solid damage. Not a KO just yet unless you want to incorporate the Monkey Dory. And
Yeah,
that's going to be up to Rowan.
We could. I mean, I don't really see a world where, Rowan just decides to not use Oceanic Gloom, at least for the next few turns. You're a boss's orders away from this entire game spiraling out of control. You don't put a Curlia in play this turn. Your Gardevoird gets boss KO'd, and what do you do at that point, right? Your opponent's going to get to play all their items. They're going to get all their energy back from the discard pile, and things could definitely spiral out of control. Rowan just, again, playing super defensive. He's grabbing the Night Stretcher to make sure that that's an option to get Frillish back again. He's going to play Ultra Ball and just prepare to get more Pokemon. We'll see the Jellicent grabbed, and we'll have to figure out if Rowan decides to go in with that this turn, if he fears the boss's orders, or if he's content going in elsewhere. And he is going to go ahead and put this Frillish in play, which makes me wonder if there's a counter catcher.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the combination here. Counter catcher, a big factor in making this play happen.
And you only need the 1 energy at this point. You can take the 2 damage counters, push that over to the Gholdengo that already has this metal energy here, and you'll have that Pokemon just a little bit closer. You could potentially take this one here and get to the Gholdengo with the Gimmighoul with 70, but now he's going to add the energies in play. He's going to be setting up at least the 3 prize for maybe next turn.
Yeah, very curious to, leave very few energy in the discard pile. It's always a fear, your Gardevoird gets brought up. You've always got to think about that. And more importantly, if Gardevoird does go down, there really won't be an easy way to get damage counters into play next turn. Rowan, of course, has thought about this. He is aware. We'll go ahead and use the Power Press. 160 damage, thanks to Jellicent having an additional 2 energy attached to it. And now all these Gholdengos are ready. The work has been done, and Simon's already just drawn a card at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage in play. All of the Gholdengo are potentially going to see their poor Gimmighoul KO'd on the next turn by way of that TM devolution that's already in the hand for Rowan, I believe, as he grabbed that last turn. And yeah, he's just waiting in the wings. The one big play that you could see from Simon, if it weren't already prized, would be the Iron Bundle, moving this Pokemon, maybe locking something in the active spot like a Gardevoird, or trying to take a big KO somewhere, but he just does not have the resources to do this.
Yeah, and a huge problem as well. You can use Professor Turo to pick up the Gholdengo and heal this damage off, but if you do, you're not playing boss's orders, you're not getting out of the item lock, and you're not targeting down another Pokemon, and you're essentially just doing nothing in that turn, which when you do nothing is doing everything for Gardevoird. Time is money.
All right, boss's orders, Vitality Band, a couple energy in this game, maybe just 1. But as you eye up ways to come back from this, clearing Gardevoird is the only thing that makes any sense to me.
And if you do, you've already got the Jellicent in play. It's already got the energies attached to it. You can take a KO, but once again, if you're not healing these Pokemon out of play, it is all but futile, especially with all of these Pokemon already having damage down. You can't even bench a fresh Gimmighoul because if your opponent has Rare Candy Gardevoird, they'll just use the Adrenabrains, and if they can get another Monkey Dory into play, they could wipe out that fresh Gimmighoul as well. And
for Rowan, he's probably shaking in his boots because he does not have full information here, but you see your opponent finally using those items, burning through. A Lunatone plus multiple Gholdengo means like 7 cards drawn this turn. It could easily be that your opponent has that picnic basket, heals those 2 Pokemon, gets out of range. But it's not there.
How do people just not respect a Gardevoird, man? This is insane to me. I understand not playing the picnic basket. It's not useful in every card, but it feels like, focusing on some other cute inclusions, maybe the Iron Bundle instead, or adding this, the Riolu and the Mega Lucario. Simon had to find space somewhere to cut, and cutting out this picnic basket may be costing him a game that otherwise would be pretty straightforward. Healing this out of play, forcing the Candy Guardy. Rowan's not even going to need that piece this turn if he wants to take 3 prize cards.
Just went full protein instead of for carbs and fibers, man. It's a wild choice. You got to have a diet, a balanced breakfast here if you're going to get through this. And just does not have that, but we do see some of these items. He's been desperately clinging on to these, waiting for a turn to use them. This is the turn now. Boss's orders push that Gardevoird. He's got at least 5 in the hand now. 1 more gets the job done, but at what cost?
At what cost, Kyle? The big question. Simon will do what he can. Take the knockout with Make It Rain onto the Gardevoird EX, 350 damage. Actually, just going to get rid of the 6 since there is 10 damage on that Gardevoird. 6 energy, Make It Rain, 300 damage. But Simon already knows what's coming. Rowan already knows what's coming. The question now, how much extra does Rowan have? If he again finds the Candy Dark, wow, what a top deck there.
Oh.
Candy off the top of the deck, Night Stretcher for Gardevoird EX. That's piece number 1. And if Rowan can find the Dark Energy, this game is all but over.
He's got pretty much everything here. He can lock up the second Frillish to go along with this. If you're not worried about outright winning the game on this turn, closing the game out certainly seems like it's almost done at this stage. You can move the damage over here. You have the Frillish to lock in a little more too. This is nasty work.
Yeah, we're just going to see the 6 damage counters go onto the Gimmighoul instead. So the question now is actually just going to choose to do this. A lot of players, would get greedy and just try and go for the devolution play. But now that Simon can't play items yet again this turn, he knows that no picnic basket can be played even if it existed. And then the following turn, Simon's capped at only being able to take 1 prize card. Things could get a little bit tricky.
We are in a weird spot, though. Things have opened up. For Rowan, yes, you've set up a really big, massive play. For Simon, there is a Professor Turo scenario. You open up a bench space, you play down that Lunatone, Soul Rock, Energy, Vitality Band, KO, Frillish, lined up for you. 2 prize cards remaining, but then how do you find the last 2? That's really the question he'll have on his mind.
And that's really the question if Rowan can get this final Monkey Dory. The problem, though, is that third Monkey Dory is prized, so that hasn't been an option for him. He is going to make it a capitalization here. Third Monkey Dory not being available has changed the entire narrative of this game, not allowing Rowan to try and dig for that dark Monkey Dory and getting this triple Adrenabrain onto the Gimme Ghoul. Instead, Simon's going to be able to play the Professor Turo, heal the damage off, and then now has to make a choice. If he decides to re-bench the Gimme Ghoul, the bench is locked. But Kyle, this Lunatone needs to be on the bench if Solrock wants to attack. So can you get the best of both worlds? I'm not sure.
That's what we're looking for. And you see with the discard pile, it's 6 energies for fighting energies in the discard pile. Probably 1 more remaining in the deck list here. You're item locked, so finding that resource, not going to happen unless you find the 1 copy of fighting energy to go along with this. He is drawing through the deck, burning through with these Gholdengo. Can he find the answer? There's, what, 15 cards in that hand?
There's too many cards, Kyle. I don't even want to count. 1 coin bonus finds a superior energy retrieval, but does not do anything in this spot. Items cannot be played here for Simon. And it kind of just makes me wonder, you know, what was our end goal in this spot? Did we play Professor Turo to just pass the turn? Is this what was happening here?
Turo was solely a means to an end to move this Pokemon, draw a little more with the Gholdengo, and burn to find the fighting energy, but it just wasn't there.
I mean, there are 2 energy in the hand, Kyle, so this Make It Rain can KO the Frillish.
But then what? you have 10 energies locked in play. You have 9 in your discard pile, 1 on the active. There's a total of 50 damage available if this Jellicent remains in the active position or if a Frillish is reestablished. There is no KOs lined up from this point forward.
Yeah, and the question here, though, is there a way to get Frillish into play again? Because this active Oceanic Gloom can be turned off with boss's orders.
Yeah.
So that's a big question here. If there's a Night Stretcher, this game could just be over here. Rowan will just be able to item block out all of the potential here.
We've seen 2 copies of Night Stretcher, but I think there is still the 1 Super Rod to bank on. With the Artisan, basically the same card. But can he find that? Rowan has not been drawing very much. He has a very low hand. He is going to play the Devo down, and there is Iono in this hand. There is Mew to restart and see a few more resources. He saw that together.
This is so interesting because it feels like if we were going to go for a Devolution play, is there a reason we didn't just go for it the turn before? We would be doing the exact same thing, right? Taking 3 prize cards, putting our opponent down to 3 cards in hand, and now sort of this extra turn of trying to get fancy and go for the full Devolution play may have backfired since Simon was able to find that Professor Turo and take this KO. These are going to be some big cards here for Rowan. Importantly, can he find a way to get another Frillish into play? That is a huge question.
I don't think we're seeing it yet, but he is going to thin a little more. Has the Ultra Ball to burn a few more resources. 10 cards left in deck.
Uh-oh.
And maybe there's a world where you can restart into 1 more, but I don't know if you can do that without filling this bench space.
There is an evolution. All right,
okay.
We've got 1 card here. Super Rod, the big choice. If we can find that,
Who's
energy should be locked out of the game. No, I feel like you'd slam it down if it was an option. It's not there. We'll see the restart for 1 Jellicent EX. Coming up into the active spot. Slow but surely, it is packing power, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to the help of Technical Machine Devolution. We'll see the Adrenabrain put that Gholdengo EX into the KO range. Rather, Gimme Ghoul being put into KO range. Now just double check what has been used.
Ethan, this is crazy. The Iono was exactly what was needed here for Rowan to make this play, but there's still a world where Simon could find all the right resources. Yes, you're pulling these Gholdengos off of the board. You're taking a triple KO, but Gimme Ghoul still remains. Boss's orders and a superior energy retrieval would be so close to getting the job done. The Iron Bundle was drawn off the prize cards. If that Pokemon comes back into play, there's a world where things get crazy.
And it's guaranteed with the Artisan here. Iron Bundle is 100% guaranteed.
Okay.
Simon's going to have items access this turn, which means all he needs to do is just find Boss's orders and a superior energy retrieval plus 1 energy card.
He's got all the fodder in his hand. He has 3 Gholdengo to go along with this.
And already the Solrock as well. That draws more cards.
I don't know about bringing up the Genesect. I kind of just like having the Gholdengo already there to draw 2.
It doesn't matter either way, right? It's got the air balloon on it, so you can only use that 1 coin bonus for 2.
Okay.
So either way, bringing up the free pivoter, it's not the end of the world. Does draw Pokegear to start the turn. That's a big card. That could guarantee the boss. A lot of superior energy retrievals were on the bottom of the deck thanks to Iono, so smart choice here for Simon. We'll look through the deck, see what's available, and there is still a pretty hefty amount of cards in the deck here. It looks like about 20 and change. 3 superior energy retrievals, though, are still remaining, and there's still a fighting energy in the deck that can be searched out with some of these fighting gong as well.
There's still Precious Trolley. there could be a...
This ace-spec is terrible, ladies and gentlemen. Why is this ace-spec here? I'm just joking. Just because it wasn't played doesn't mean it's bad, all right? All right?
You could redraw into all of the right resources. Maybe the only turn that you need Lunatone Solrock is the last turn.
Did he just fail the Artisan? Did he not grab Iron Bundle?
It was a failed Genesect start.
Oh, failed Genesect, excuse me. All right, Genesect was failed, not the Artisan, so...
But as you're saying that, I still feel like Artisan seems like a pretty solid play before drawing with the Gholdengo, but we'll see this first?
Yeah, I mean, there is a world where you want to draw into a basic, but it's Pheasantipity, right? It doesn't make a difference. So here we go. Yeah, Artisan going to be used first, and here is the secret surprise hiding out the entire time. It's getting chilly in here, Kyle.
Yeah.
It's freezing up.
It's the holiday season coming up a little sooner here. And we've got gold coins. We're having a blast. And Simon is maybe one step closer to finding a miraculous turnaround here.
Yeah.
He's going to draw the 2 cards right now. What does he find? Energy to go along with this.
Boss's
What else?
orders finds the boss, but we're still short. We may have to rely off of a lunar cycle.
Okay, 3 cards left to see here.
So now the question is, do you play Iron Bundle first? And I think you do in this spot. You play the Iron Bundle so you can Pokegear and thin out a card, but no, it's going to use this first. Boss's orders.
What does he find? Is that a fighting gong? What else is there?
Found a fighting gong and Lucario EX. That Lucario is going to do nothing in this spot. Now Rowan cannot win the game next turn. He cannot take 3 prize cards. So in this spot here, Simon actually not using the Iron Bundle, while it could have let him thin out a card there, in hindsight, may have been a smarter choice to not use that, since by having it on the bench, it's going to threaten something on the following turn. Are we really using that right now in the spot?
Yes, that's going to move, bring the Monkey Dory into the active. Item cards available now for Simon.
I guess sitting on Boss's orders means that the Iron Bundle's just not going to matter next turn, but having that as an option available still seems pretty valuable, Kyle.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about here. It's going to be the energy for the fighting gong.
There's no energy there, Kyle.
Yeah, you're right. They're all just gone at this point. It's all 7 we see in the discard. Almost every energy accounted for here. Just 1 more remaining.
And this is another opportunity where if Rowan can find the Super Rod this turn, it's GG's. The game is over. There is no way for Simon to put any energy into play. Another huge opportunity opened up here for Rowan. It seems like Simon is just setting himself up for the win next turn, but we know if there's a Frillish that comes down, it's over.
Yeah, you just lock out the items completely. No more energies. As long as you don't deck out first, then you'll be fine. And this is the Pokegear that Ethan wanted to see earlier. It could have potentially thinned a card out and led to a more efficient lunar draw.
Drew into that Boss's orders off the lunar cycle. So, these mistakes are kind of hard to see in the moment. We are, of course, watching from a bird's eye view. We get a little bit more perspective, but small decisions in the Pokemon TCG, they can make or break big moments like this. You got to wonder if Simon was maybe a little bit hesitant about how he wanted to sequence that turn, and you have to breathe a sigh of relief if you're Rowan. You're not seeing the Boss's orders get played down. You're not seeing flip the script, draw more cards. You got to be feeling pretty good.
I mean, this was dangerous. There's almost a world where Night Stretcher brings back a Iron Bundle and would take a KO if there weren't 2 single prize Pokemon in play. Like, there's a lot to consider here. Rowan had the perfect board to combat this. Simon will get the energies back into the hand. You have to think at this point. But what can he do as far as building up for a full answer? You're not going to have enough energies to KO a Mew.
Yeah, and the big thing to potentially think about in this spot, if you do decide to take this KO, you're still possibly locking yourself out of Frillish. You would discard 2 energies and then have to attach another energy to this Gholdengo. So I wonder here if you're Simon, if you actually are just supposed to hold the energies in your hand and not take this monkey KO, because I think you still just lose to Oceanic Gloom now.
100%. I don't think that was where I'd go with that play, but wants to see the prize card, wants to dig 1 step further. For Rowan now, 3 prize cards remaining, but his answer might already be on the board in that discard pile for Simon. It is staring at him in the face. He knows the answer is just a Super Rod away.
And there's the Arven in the hand. It's guaranteed, Kyle. But now Rowan has to play these mind games of how many energy does he think Simon is playing. Because if you are wrong in this spot and your opponent can KO this Frillish, then you essentially put yourself in a spot where closing out this game could just be impossible.
It's a really scary spot. You've been playing for 34 minutes at this point. You're all in on this strategy. And it feels like when you evolved to Jellicent, it was the right move for you. But now you may be regretting it. You have the Frillish that you can lean on once more now. But does he want to?
Grab the Frillish. He doesn't think that there's a way to lock this out. But we know, Kyle, if the energies are counted right, that an Oceanic Gloom would just win the game on the spot here for Rowan.
Oh, what world are we in? Where is the answer?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, fighting in the hand through metal. Rowan would have just won the game on the spot if he announced Oceanic Gloom, assuming he had enough energy in the discard pile to never get locked out from retreating.
Energies moving Jellicent to the bench. The item lock, no more. Gardevoird is here to stay. There is enough damage to take the KO here. Go 1-to-1 prize cards. And Simon needs to find an answer here, but there's a lot more live draws than we thought.
And wow, Rowan just deciding to not play extra mind games, not go in with the Frillish. That 10 damage on the Gholdengo EX from a previous Adrenabrain allows Miracle Force on this Gardevoird EX to take the KO on Gholdengo. 10 damage plus the 2 Adrenabrains puts it to 70, and then the 190 is perfect math. Rowan Stavinoff using that Super Rod to get the monkey into play and close the game out.
Wasn't he at 3 prize cards?
Yeah, but what does your opponent do? Simon just can't attack next turn. Screamtail is guaranteed to win the game on the following turn with a snipe.
All right, there just wasn't anything left for Simon to draw at that point. Just could not see the writing on, or saw the writing on the wall and moved past it. And I mean, what a wild game we had, a back and forth. Let's take a look at how we got to this point here, as both our players trying to figure it out as we went along, and it got pretty wild pretty early. For Simon, the cards were flying through, and you can see it with his discard pile. He was all in on KOing these Frillish.
They worked out well, going after the Frillish, but really that slow start came back to bite Simon. Just was a couple turns away from finding early prizes, and just that lack of early Lunatone Soul Rock pressure, it felt like could have been the difference maker in this first game.
Yeah, it just did not have those early prize cards that we see so often these players lean on. You have the boss's orders and the answer to just move these Pokemon around, but if you don't draw them early enough, you can't cash in on these prizes. And when you're using all your energies early on the Gholdengos, taking these 2-3 energy discard KOs, it just doesn't feel efficient.
We will get into things here. Game number 2, and that was a long first game, Kyle. If you're in Rowan's shoes with 15 minutes on the clock, if he plays his cards right here, I don't think there's a way he can lose this game.
Yeah, the Frillish is your best friend for many reasons. It has such a great answer in this matchup, but also in general, it just buys time. It slows your opponent down, gives you time to think. And is this not the best hand we've ever seen? Like, besides Secret Box, he's got every resource he wants.
Yeah, Vessel, Ultra Ball, Candy, supporter for next turn. I mean, what more can Rowan find here playing this deck?
His prize cards aren't going to help him too much, but that is okay. He does not care about prize cards this time around.
How many Frillish can I put into play? That seems to potentially be the name of the game. That Bravery Charm in the deck, Air Balloon in the deck. There is that one counter catcher gone. That always can be a nice resource to try and buy time. But time is the name of the game. No matter how you want to look at it, Rowan understands we're not going to be able to finish a third game 100%. That's out of the window. The question now is, can we finish a second game? And with the new rule change, with there only being +1 turns, it feels like the writing's on the wall. Rowan doesn't even need to play at a slow pace. He's just going to do what he normally does. And Gholdengo just has these super long turns where they're just drawing so many cards.
Right. And for Simon, he's going to have a read on that, understand that you just need to play quickly, burn through resources, maybe just have that reckless endangerment of I need prize cards and I need them fast. And it's up to Rowan to really make a mistake at that point, but I don't think we'll see that. It's going to be a lot of this benching of single prize Pokemon and making sure to use every card efficiently.
And even the Artisan here is really strong because if Rowan wants to, he could put another Monkey Dory into play just to play around Iron Bundle, guaranteeing a KO on the bench with Vitality Band. However, it is a pretty unlikely circumstance for turn 1 here for Simon, so Rowan will just smartly go ahead and bench Ralt, since there is always that potential of a boss's orders plus Soul Rock Lunatone to KO the only Ralts in play, and things could get complicated.
Yeah, you want to have an answer to that. Rare Candy was in the hand, so maybe Rowan would have a turn 2 Gardevoird to go along with that. For Simon, these prize cards can work with. Just one copy of that Air Balloon is a little unfortunate to see that one in the prizes. See some of those basic energies to go along with it, but his eye is going to be on flooding the board early with that Artisan.
We got to take a prize every minute, Kyle. Our turn's got to be a minute, and we've got to take prizes. And immediately you see the Iron Bundle. It brings up the Ralts. Frillish could potentially survive a hit, but Rowan knows with that one Frillish in the prize cards, he's got to preserve that as the most important Pokemon. Turn 1 Arven, and now we'll finally see Precious Trolley really come in and shine.
Yeah, the Trolley. Of all cards, this is the ace-spec that Simon decided to go with, and it is really for this exact turn. If you see it on turn 1, you flood the board, you have all these Pokemon, you don't have to worry about them for the rest of the game. And all you need is an Earthen Vessel, an energy card here or there, and you can have a full setup, as you see the Genesect as well, already searching out your evolutions.
Yep, then in the deck out, getting ready to use that coin bonus ability next turn. And this does signal that there is an Air Balloon as well in hand to start. So double Genesect EX, Earthen Vessel, Air Balloon, Vitality Band. We will see Simon do exactly what he needs to do in this spot, which is take a turn 1 KO with that Soul Rock. However, Rowan's going to start slowing the pace of the game down, and if that Bravery Charm is found, it means Soul Rock's value is going to go down a lot in the following turns.
Yeah, the damage just really starts to compile on Rowan's side of the board. If he can stick the extra hit points there, maybe find another copy of Frillish, and we know that it's not there this time around, so he's going to have to hold on to that one. But Monkey Dory, Dark Energy, every time you see one of those, it means that Frillish can stick around just a little bit longer.
So there it is, attachment 4, turn to the Soul Rock. Cosmic Beam online, Air Balloon on the active spot, and Soul Rock's going to come in as fast as it can. Taking some extra actions here, drawing energy out of the deck. Winning and winning is great and all, but time is your biggest enemy.
Yeah, I mean, this was the mistake from the previous game that he did not want to make again. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of time left, but does want to see that energy, have access to the Lunar Cycle on the following turn, continue to burn through the deck, and he will see this first prize card here in game number 2. He's got 9 minutes left, and Rowan...
That's the worst card to top deck in the entire deck. Wanted to just Earthen Vessel away whatever the top deck was, and had to discard the Night Stretcher, excuse me, the absolute worst card in the deck, especially again with one of those Frillish being prized. But what a turn number 2 here for Rowan. You got to give him props. Candy, Gardevoird, Frillish in the active spot, and a Lily to draw 6 cards as well, plus the 2 you're going to get since you have 6 prize cards remaining.
I mean, yeah, this is everything. He's got the 8 cards here lined up for him. 2 energies in the discard pile now. A Dark Energy looks very nice. If you can start to move some damage over to the other side of the board and start to put some pressure on these Gimmighoul, it doesn't matter if they evolve. We know they will see this on the following turns from the Genesects, but if you get the damage down now, you will see the TM devolution soon.
And that Bravery Charm would be another very nice find here. You know your opponent's got the Vitality Band. You know that Pokemon is probably going to be knocked out and finds the Bravery Charm. Just needs to find the Dark Energy. That would be icing on the cake. Does not find it. That is a little bit of a miss. You don't love to see that in this spot. Does, however, find the Jellicent EX, and this is a question where you've got to ask yourself, given the circumstance, given the time left in the round, is your strategy just to go in with Jellicent instead, or do you just commit to using Oceanic Gloom? I kind of like the latter here in this spot, I can't lie.
It's tempting. If there wasn't the Night Stretcher discard and the Frillish in the prize cards, I would think 100% continue on with Frillish here. Use the Oceanic Gloom to continue your lock. It's a little safer. However, your opponent has a full board set up. You will not see any Pokemon shifting around, no presence surprising you out of nowhere. It will have to be the boss's orders and answer every time they play around the Jellicent. Yeah,
the big question, though, is, you commit this Bravery Charm to this Frillish that's most likely guaranteed to be knocked out here. Yes, you got to get the energies discarded regardless. There's one in the bin, one locked on the Soul Rock, so they will start to go pretty quickly, but there's a very solid chance Simon's just going to have the KO in this spot. Just needs to find 4 energy cards total. We'll see after these coin bonuses what they look like. We'll just use the second one, just going to draw 1 card, and, hold your horses, ladies and gentlemen. There may not be enough energy cards, as it seems. This hand is so massive, it's hard to kind of keep track sometimes of what cards are there, but correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, I'm only seeing that 1 fighting energy.
Just 1 fighting right here, and you don't feel comfortable letting that one slide. The retreat does happen. Wants to see an extra card here with the coin bonus, but even in a perfect world, what do you find?
Yeah, it's so tough because you could at least put 70 damage on this Frillish, and if your opponent doesn't find a Dark Energy, then you get to just take the 2-hit KO. Instead, maybe getting a little bit greedy, going into Gholdengo. There wasn't 2 perfect cards that could be drawn there that would have got him the KO, though, and I have to wonder what the next turn will look like for Simon as Rowan kicks things off and is given another opportunity to start getting these Dark Energy into play.
He has the Super Rod, and maybe he was banking on seeing that Frillish KO'd here. Instead, it is just Iono. Shuffle up, find some other resources. The big one on our mind here, where's that Dark Energy?
Monkey Dory just waiting to be put to good use. It's only as strong as your Dark Energy consistency is, and does find it. Dark Energy found. Now Gardevoird EX Psychic Embrace means we'll start to pile some more damage over onto Simon's side. And there is a couple energy cards in hand, and I wonder how you want to go about distributing these. There was an Earthen Vessel found as well, but nothing like an Ultra Ball or another Earthen Vessel to put those in the discard pile. I would like to just see the energies put onto the Frillish, probably. I think 1 is honestly okay, since you just use that 2. You're going to have to use 3 Adrenabrains anyways onto the Gimmighoul to take a KO, and you want to make sure that Gardevoird doesn't get stranded, so I like this play here from Rowan.
Yeah, this is pretty smart here. You don't need to overcommit in this spot. You'll still have an answer if this Pokemon sticks around, and you do choose to switch gears over to the Jellicent. But for Simon, I mean, all hands on deck. Got to start burning through, draw these resources. 4.5 minutes left, and he still needs 5 prize cards.
4 energy, the goal for sure. And we're halfway there so far. Simon's got 2 Metal Energy in hand. Those are more precious resources than the Fighting Energy. Does find the 1 Fighting Energy, and we could draw 2 cards here if we want to put this Air Ballooned Pokemon onto the bench. Having that as a pivot option is always strong, but that extra card could be a difference maker here. This is going to be a big coinus, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, just 1 more energy here takes the KO, and Simon would feel pretty nice taking out this Frillish.
And doesn't find it, and yet again, another turn missed where Simon just cannot find a KO onto Frillish, and is yet again going to have to just allow more damage to be accumulated on Rowan's side and buy him even more turn. He's going to get greedy here. He's got to with just so little time. Can he find 2 energy at the cost trade for 1? Superior energy retrieval, and an Earthen Vessel. Kyle, none of those cards having any effect thanks to the little Frillish putting in that disruptive work.
It sounds like 10 energies to me. What are you talking about? Yeah, it's pretty rough to see that trade-off here for Simon, and now goes with the Genesect, pulls out this Gholdengo, just using additional resources, additional time that you don't need to in this spot. You have to keep the ball rolling. Yes, there's no knockout, but we're missing out on some chances to maybe have some seconds at the very end of the game.
Does feel like the sort of doors are shutting here on Simon. His opportunities are slowly fading away, and another Dark Energy found immediately here for Rowan off the top of the deck, playing the Arven, the secret box being found, and Rowan's energy problem that he previously had no longer going to be an issue. We'll see plenty hit the discard pile.
And at this point, what do you feel comfortable with? You can continue to use this Frillish and slow things down. However, you have seen your opponent build up pretty massive hand on the other side. Getting the energies on board seems nice because then you can push some more damage over to try to knock out those Gimmighoul. But at what point are you overextending?
And just deciding to hold the Earthen Vessel and this secret box. Just wants to be able to respond however his opponent plays this turn out. And now, because you have both those resources, you can confidently put all these energies onto the Frillish, since you can easily put more in the bin. We'll see another Adrenabrain, another item lock, and Simon, you've got to find the energy, and finally does, but that energy just found 1 turn too short here. That could be a huge difference maker.
And it's the energy that he replaced with the Lunatone. He has to find another energy.
That's true.
To get even further at this stage. Massive hand size, but just nothing to show for it.
I'm not even sure there's enough energy to take this KO, is considering where to put this energy attachment. We're at just under 2 minutes left. Simon not taking a prize card. I think things are all but over.
Oh, he's going to continue to fight here at this stage, and without the knockout lined up here, does not feel great. However, maybe a boss's orders KO Monkey Dory makes him feel a little more comfortable. He can take those prizes, but you're not answering the main issue, which is that Frillish is completely unchecked.
Yeah, and it doesn't really seem like a recipe for success. We'll see the Genesect get picked up. It's going to open this bench space up for another Gimme Ghoul to come down. It does provide a little bit more draw, protects against evolution, but the latter doesn't even matter. Rowan's not trying to take prize cards in this spot. He just wants to slow things down, and he's doing an excellent job of that so far in the second game.
Yeah, it's been a real masterclass on Rowan's side of the table, just being calm, cool, and collective, showing off what his deck is capable of in these spots, and you're going to see a lot of pressure.
Whoa.
He's going to find new card.
Hello?
Hi, new card.
Someone has entered the chat. I don't know why they're here. You weren't invited, Mr. Riolu, but welcome to the stream, welcome to the show. Getting a little bit of time down in the spotlight, you know, making a bit of an appearance, showcasing some tricks that weren't used, but there's 45 seconds left. This game is all but over, and Rowan Stavenel is going to advance to 5-0 on the back of this blue Frillish, putting in work. I'm feeling pretty gloomy after everything I've seen so far in this set.
Yeah, this has worked out so well for Rowan on this side of the table. He's got every answer built in so far. It doesn't seem like he's satisfied with the way that this is going just because of how slow it has to all commence, but this is where you need to be. Just 20 damage piling up is enough to completely lock this game out.
We'll see the rest of the cards be played, but as we mentioned, writing on the wall, Rowan Stavenel play out these last 2 seconds, and with the +1 turns, there is no earthly way in which this game will be over. Simon extends the hand, scoop things up, and Rowan Stavenel will be undefeated at 5 wins, 0 losses on the back of the disruptive power, thanks to Frillish and Jellicent EX.
Yep, might be this time around all looking Jellicent's way, and rightfully so. This is one of the more important attackers that we've seen in the TCG. Just establishes exactly how play has to go. It changes the way that decks are made at this point, and this is a big glaring weakness that we see from Gholdengo, is it does not like being item locked.
That was a crazy game one, those last couple of turns. Let's take a look back and see how everything commenced in this set. Between both of these players here, we've got Rowan, of course, played through that game one. Not really much to highlight in this game two. As it stands, you know, just a little bit of Oceanic Looming, passing back and forth. As we will actually be able to take a look and see some of the things that did go back in the set. Good to take a little bit of a reflection. But yeah, not much happening, you know, in this second game. But the first game, yet again, key to note, those early turns in both games 1 and 2, Simon just struggled to take prize cards and ended up just being, you know, 1 or 2 prizes away from easily closing this game out. Yeah,
there was a big play in this opening game here where we saw the slowing down, not using the TM devolution, trying to take all of the Gimme Goal off the board, and it led to this spot where Rowan did just eventually have to open it up. He left the Gimme Goal in play. It had the answer to take the KO. However, Gardevoird came in, took the knockout here, and Simon just saw the writing on the wall. There was no answer to clear the game up from that point of the game, and had to move on, and we moved into the second game here with not much time left.
And it was just a Frillish show. Frillish putting on its star-studded talent. Oceanic Gloom just shutting Simon out, and there could have been a potential chance, but yeah, I think even if Simon had found the energies to KO the Gloom guy.
Gloomy boy.
I just think of him as a gloomy boy these days. I get sad thinking about him. The Frillish, excuse me. If that had happened, you know, as it